Well. What a way to end the game. I mean, the game's still wrapping up, but we know the result now. And if I tell you Lincoln Riley's lucky Raiola got hurt, man, oh, man. I have a hard time blaming the officiating, although there was moments there towards the end of the game where I know people are upset about. But we're going to talk about the football. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, about the actual X's and O's, what we can bring forward going into next week and beyond the rest of the season, because there was a lot of good. As we saw before Raiola went down, there was a lot of chess match things happening between Lincoln Riley, Holgerson, John Butler, etc. A lot of good. There still is a lot of good to take away, although this is very upsetting. If we can pull back the emotion, we can kind of look forward to the rest of the season. And this Nebraska pulled out a lot of good things this week. First off, Brian, how you doing, man?
I was doing good until about whatever time that
third quarter,
happened.
somewhere in the third quarter. And I think the Latif apologists, no fault of Latif. This is not a Latif bash, but it's just a matter of a 4-star quarterback is not ready for this moment, is not ready to step up in this moment. I think now everybody who was calling every time Raiola threw an interception or struggled in any way, everybody who was Latif this, Latif that, they had their say on X, and we were all trying to tell them there's a reason why you have a 5-star QB versus a 4-star QB. The same thing happened last year. Whenever Raiola made mistakes, everybody was calling for Danny Kaelin, and there's a reason why you go to a 5-star over 4-star. So let's just go ahead. We'll dive into the early part of the game. And what we had kind of talked about happened early on. Nebraska came out and was aggressive, and USC countered that. Me and you were kind of texting throughout the game more than we usually would, and
it shows the intensity of this game.
Yes, and USC was very much, and in this one I was paying a lot more attention to the football than I would normally do, because I was curious to see this chess match take place. Because Lincoln Riley, being as great of an offensive mind as he is, and I know a lot of USC fans are not 100% in agreement with that, but he is a really good offensive mind. At times, he was a little bit too creative for his own offense, and that led to them having penalties, et cetera, et cetera. But Nebraska came out with exactly the intention that we thought they would. They came out aggressive, wanting to stop the run game. And although they didn't do it, they came out with the aggression. And what the aggression made USC do is the aggression was also there in the pass game. And that made them have to make some kind of, changes to back our defense off, because we were doing a good job of mixing up man versus zone. So what USC started doing on offense is they started kind of motioning around and seeing what we were in. And then I think it was after that first drive, we came out and we stopped them pretty early. Sorry if I'm having a hard time talking. I had this bump that's in my lip for some reason, so it's making it a little hard to talk. So I apologize about that.
I have Zins in right now, so
I just have this little bump in my lip, and I don't know what it is. But it's some kind of swollen salivary gland under my lip or something like that. I don't know. I just Googled it, and it's cancer. I'm dying. But they were motioning around, and what you saw was on the second offensive drive for USC, they motioned. They saw we were in zone, and they took that pass onto the right side, dropped it over our zone coverage, and then from there, you saw our defensive backs have to back off a bit. And what that did was that opened up the run game again, because we came out early and we were aggressive in stopping the run. But as soon as they came out and dropped that little pass over our zone coverage, our defender, 4-star DBs, to kind of back off a little bit. And that made, USC get a little bit of momentum, because then they could just kind of, Maava got a little bit I wouldn't say comfortable. He was never felt comfortable in the pocket, but on that second drive, he got more comfortable than he was on that first drive, because at that point, he at least kind of had an idea of what we were running defensively, coverage wise. And they run that counter play very effectively. We knew going into it, like, it's one of those things that USC runs that they run that counter tray, and
killing us.
And we knew they were gonna. They dare you to stop it, essentially, because they block that so well. But the thing is, they set it up well, and if it's not there, they use that opportunity there to kind of, they'll make it work. They'll make your defense have to adjust to what they're doing, so then they can run it. So, when they're using that motion, it's kind of for information. And anybody who's played like a Madden game or anything like that, when you motion a guy across, you check if the defense is man or zone. It's very similar to that, right? And they watch how the defense reacts, and if the defense travels with the motion, it's man, vice versa. You can look at the eyes of the DB, try to find out. And then the second half, we adjust a little bit, which we'll get into. But just talking about early on in the game, so USC went to kind of some zone beater concepts, and then to counter Trey. But what that does is it makes you have to back off your aggression. It loosens the defense up. So they started running some curl flats, some spacing routes, some flood concepts to force Nebraska's kind of linebackers, nickels, to kind of get a little bit more horizontal. With the floods, they have that kind of that 3-level stretch up the field with deep corner, intermediate, and they have a flat, curl flat. You have that isolates the curl zone defenders. And then you have your short sit routes that attack like the soft spot in the zone. Then they were doing a very good job of mixing those things up, and that makes the linebackers a little bit more hesitant to drive downhill, and the secondary guys a little bit more hesitant to drive downhill. As soon as they started to like nearly break those runs, our DBs then had to back off. And so the way they run this, they have the backside, and they kind of showed it a couple times with the backside guard and tackle pull. Guard kicks out the in-man, tackle wraps up, and kind of grabs that linebacker or defensive back, whatever it's going to be, whether it's play side, defensive back, or it's play side linebacker, whatever. And then the running back takes that counter step away from the direction. And even though it's going to get you, like, they have good enough tight ends and H-backs. We talked about this with their tight ends being so versatile, that they have such good tight ends that when they're on the field, you don't know whether they're there to block or run out in a route, because they can do both. And that's what makes this such a good play for them. And so with Nebraska, they have to be quick and flow fast. But the thing about it is, if you're over aggressive, the pullers come around, they seal that over pursuit, and then the running back cuts back and they kick it open. So it's perfect to kind of slow down the momentum of your aggressive defense. And we got Ken hopping in here from Gen Red. What's up, Ken? He's going to get his stuff set up. So let me pull this down real quick.
Oh, I was at the same time as you.
You can get your stuff set up as you go through it. We can't hear you.
You saw that happen earlier or later in the game, where Nebraska started over pursuing on that counter, and then they just busted it back. He completely went the opposite direction. Like, it was extreme, and they busted a big run down the right sideline, I believe it was, because they over pursued. And then I think part of because Nebraska was defending that play relatively, I wouldn't say great, but they were relatively consistently early.
Yes.
And then later on in the game is when second quarter is when they started having more success with it. And I noticed Williams Nwarni, as good as he can be, he tends to line up and rush what he thinks is going to be a pass rush situation. He tends to line up further away, further off the ball.
Yeah.
Which then causes him to get way upfield, and then they just run right underneath it. It was the same problem with James Williams last year, except Williams Nwarni is about 10 times the athlete.
Yeah, that's interesting. I might have to actually check that out. Can you hear us, Ken?
Yeah, man, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Appreciate you hopping on, man, even after the tough loss.
The debacle, as it
How
were.
You feeling?
I'm feeling, let's just say, resigned to the fact that the 6-3 team that we are now very well could be 6-6 if these lines of scrimmage continue to play the way they're playing.
Yeah, but there is It's a lot of good to take away. I mean, if you would have told us that Raiola got hurt in the third quarter coming into this week and we lost by 5, I probably would have called you a liar, to be completely honest with you.
I'll add you had the ball with a chance to go win it, and your running back stumbled on a 4th and 1, which he was going to get. I mean, he was getting at least 4 or 5 on that play because he was about to cut it back if he doesn't stumble.
What a poetic way to end it, you know.
It's like the most Nebraska thing ever.
So we're talking about a little bit. So whenever we would line up in, you know, whenever they'll line up in a man baiting pass look, 3-by-1 or trips, like they'd kind of have their bunch spacing outside, and then they'd if a DB follows, they'd stay with the man beater. And then I kind of texted Brian during one of their, I think it was their second drive or the third drive or something like that, whatever drive they scored that first touchdown on. And I kind of was telling them, you know, that they're using that motion. Then it's, you know, a couple plays later, they motion, and then you see Jaden Mayava check to. So what they had was, we were in man. They came out with a man beating concept, and then they came out with a zone beating concept, and they checked as soon as they had that motion, and then they switched over the run that kind of beat our man coverage. And so at that point, it became a coaching battle, and Nebraska was doing a very good job of holding their own. And we'll get to the offensive side of the ball here in a little bit, but you know, they were, if it's man, you know, they were throwing their route concept of zone. They run the counter tray right into the softness of the box. And that was why we were kind of like going in this week. We were like, we have to stack the box as much as possible in this game and dare them to beat us with their arm. And we still couldn't stop the run. That's the unfortunate part of this, is the fact that if we had interior defensive line, a lot of this would have been a lot easier for us, because then we wouldn't have had to back off our secondary to counteract the fact that, hey, they are about to break these runs because the middle of our defense can't get these stops.
Yeah, they averaged 5.3 yards per attempt tonight. And that's including the 2 sacks we had. So that's probably realistically closer to 6.
Yeah.
What Nebraska average? I haven't looked the stats up yet.
Do you have them up, Brian?
I do. I can read them off, or you can just ask which ones you want.
What was Nebraska's rushing yards per attempt? Just curious.
4.7, which is pretty solid. And
pretty
that's
close.
Also, again, you have to account for the TJ Lateef fumbled snap and then Dylan sack, which is probably ballpark 10 yards. So you're there, you're closer to 5, if not over 5.
Yeah,
that's a recipe for success.
Yeah. And then we will have to definitely talk about the use of timeouts in this game.
Oh my gosh, I was crashing out, man.
I don't understand it. This seems to be a trend in big games and big moments. It's like we don't value them at all.
Yeah.
It's like
I think
good.
Was it you that I texted? I was like, does Rule need to hire a full-time game manager? And that's all they do. I couldn't remember if I posted that or texted you about it. That was my initial thought.
You texted me that because, I mean, it's true. Like, we wasted timeouts in that situation that would have been valuable at the end of the game. But, you know, it's still hard knowing that, like, Nebraska still probably wins this game if Raiola stays healthy. But coming in the second half, I will say we made those adjustments defensively. You know, that interception. You know, we came out with our defensive backs. We were kind of pressed up a little bit, not press man, but we were pressed up on the guys, on the receivers on the outside. And we kind of had our eyes on them, showing, you know, like, hey, like, we're in man. And I think Mayava saw that and thought we were in man. And he drops back, and immediately he doesn't even look that direction, because I think he's thinking we're in man. I think he thinks that guy's going to get beat on that side. And he throws it, and we drop into a zone. And he just throws it right to our guy. Yeah. And so there were adjustments that we made in the second half that very well could have won us this game. And I think it's hard to peel back the emotion and look at those things, but there was a lot of coaching things that we did well that I didn't see us adjust to earlier on this season. And it took like a game like this to bring out the best in our coaching and everything.
Question on that play where Marshall got that INT.
Yeah.
Did he bait Maeva into that throw a little bit? Because it looks like he ran toward the line of scrimmage, like he was running toward the back, and then he pops back out as soon as Maeva starts going into his throwing motion. Did he bait him into that?
100%. That entire play right there, because they were cluing into our coverages. And so, when you have the secondary guys out there and their eyes are kind of in on the quarterback, usually that's indicating zone. When your eyes are on the receiver, it's indicating man. So sometimes you try to trick them a little bit and you try to flip those around. I think my wife's calling me. She just got off work. Luckily, she didn't have to watch this game with me.
Lucky lady.
We had our eyes. They had their eyes on the outside because I was kind of watching the defensive back's eyes out there. They had their eyes on the wide receivers looking right at him. And I think Maeva, just in case he looked, I think, what it was he was going to drop into that zone. I think that was his zone. And basically he dropped down and then dropped back into that zone. And that entire play was just about, I think, tricking Maeva into thinking we're a man, drop back in the zone, and it worked beautifully. And that potentially could have been a game-winning play had Raiola not got hurt very soon after.
Exactly. It seemed like the same script that we used to win last week happened to us because they got a quick turnover off of us, and then boom, we grabbed it right back and went right down the field and scored. And this was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And of course, there was penalties that helped out as well.
Yeah,
to get that done.
It seemed like just that injury took the life out of the building.
Yep.
And the energy off the team.
What do you think of that DPI they called on?
Oh, go ahead.
Deshaun?
I'm sorry.
On which one?
It was the one right before they went ahead. Yeah, I didn't think it was catchable personally.
I didn't either. I thought it
looked
was
high and it looked outside.
But I think it's close. But I do think I just think they weren't calling anything close all game really. And
no, they were.
My problem is the inconsistency. What do you think about that kid?
He had no control.
It's inconsistency on defense. Is that what you're talking about, or
just with
inconsistency
with that call? What's your thoughts on that call?
Yeah, it looked inconsistent. It looked not catchable. I kind of looked up at the last second and saw the play, so I really didn't see the whole thing. I was too busy on my phone. Venting emotion, as you will.
I get it. I understand completely.
But when I did look and see the replay, I'm like, to me, that's uncatchable. Number one. Number two, they've been letting them play all night long. All night long. Yes. And then all of a sudden, inside of 11 minutes, all of a sudden flags start coming out of pockets. And, it's like, I get it. Nebraska's covering the spread. You guys have got to figure out how to make Vegas happy. But damn. Do you really? I know it sounds.
We got to make those guys. We got to make those guys their millions. No, it just happened in the NBA.
Yeah,
I don't put anything past them in Vegas.
Exactly.
These days. You got teams taking field goals when they're down 38 points and the spread's 36.5. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which would have never happened in old college football. Let's dive into some of your comments before we get into the second half here. If only Dana cared to run the ball more. I mean, we tried to run the ball as much as we
had almost 200 yards rushing.
We ran the ball. We did run. We ran it. Same old Nebraska, same results. I find it hard. I just find it hard to. I think we can't have nice things.
This one
is very true. We can't have nice things. Same old Nebraska. We can't have nice things because, of course, our quarterback gets hurt. But we do have to still take that in account. We did not lose this game with our starting quarterback in the game. Dana ran it plenty. Exactly. Please stop asking for Latif now. Raiola wins the game. And again, this is no knock on TJ himself. He's just not ready for that moment. And that wasn't supposed to ever happen. It's one of those things that, and we try to tell people that, like, everybody just wants to go to the next guy. As soon as somebody makes a mistake or a couple mistakes, everybody wants to go to that next quarterback and they thinks everything's going to get better. Maybe it's because when backup quarterbacks come in, they dice us up. I don't know why that happens, but that never happens. Right? That never happens for us. So, came up slightly short. Had Raiola been healthy, we win that game bigger. I think, Brian, you texted me. You said we won by multiple scores. I agree.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I just think there was a lot of things they were setting up. When we were texting back and forth, they kept running this very similar concepts, almost the exact same play, honestly. And it was just wait until the fourth quarter. They were going to do something different off of those actions that was going to bust something wide open. And unfortunately, once Dylan went down, it's like you texted me that your game plan just went out the window.
Yeah, it got your whole game plan got flipped on its head. Everything we were setting up, because we were motioning a lot early in that game. We were motioning out, and we were motioning Ja'Cory across, and we were waiting to throw that pass and waiting to kind of have that end around to Ja'Cory. And those things that you're just constantly setting up, because we kept that motion out, and then we would hand it off on the inside. And then there was a play later on where we blocked everything like we were handing it off to Emmett inside, and we had him break on the right-hand side. And there was a couple of opportunities there in the first half where we really were trying to get it into third and fourth and short. We just weren't able to. And I forget who it was tweeted, I don't understand the play calling, because I think it was some of the running on third down, maybe third and long. We were running on those plays, or second and long run on those plays, third and long run on those plays. But what we were really trying to do is catch them off guard. And you got to understand that sometimes you can't just throw every third and long. Sometimes you're going to run the ball, even if it's on your side of the field. Sometimes you're going to run the ball with an opportunity to set yourself up, but you're still trying to catch them off guard. It's not like we're running the same play over and over on those third and long. Like, we set a lot of those plays up as if we were running, like Emmett was having success up the middle, and all of a sudden we block that play on 3rd and 8 like it's going up the middle, and we hand it off to Emmett cutting outside. And that is just testing the linebacker's eyes of USC. And what we're trying to do with those motions is confuse their eyes. And early it worked. Early it worked. And that allowed us to run the ball. And then as soon as Raiola went down, everything that was set up for that late third and fourth quarter got flipped up on its head, because now you have a running back that you can't really trust necessarily. You got to ease him into the game. You can't just come out throwing the ball with him. And we saw that they kind of a little bit later started trying to throw, get him kind of eased into it with some throws that maybe weren't going to be, too dicey of throws.
Very low risk.
Very low risk throws. Yeah. But at the same time, they probably came out and they ran the most high percentage throws that he was running in practice. And they were confident with him in those plays. But outside of that, you really have to just, mitigate the risk and not let it blow up and leave yourself an opportunity to win the game at the end. And unfortunately, we fell at the end.
Yeah, quite literally.
I was pleased that we got the ball back. I mean, that was great. They made at least enough of a stand to get the ball back with some time left on the clock. What more could you ask for after the way they were getting gashed in that second half?
100%.
Just unfortunately, you're relying on a true freshman quarterback to try to figure out how to go 97 yards with a playbook that's probably gone from something like this big to like that.
100%.
So,
Agreed.
like you said, all the things they were probably setting up. But conversely, you look at the USC offense, you could see them setting up those keepers by the quarterback early in the game, because that same action then yielded, because we'd crash hard, like you said, on that counter action. And then Maeva was just wide open around the end. I mean, Lenhart got beat a couple times. 96 got beat. One ear got beat a couple times. So it was kind of ugly there too, that discipline that you need on those option type plays. You got to have somebody stay home.
Yes.
And 3 or 4 times they didn't. So that was bad eye discipline.
That's a great point, because just like we were setting stuff up to run late third, early fourth quarter, they were doing the same thing. Yep. The difference was they had their quarterback in there, and everything was able to work off of it. Everything that they were setting up, they were containing that Jaden Maeva run until late in the game, because we crashed inside. So that's where coaching comes into play, and that's why it's hard to sit here and I blame the coaching for the timeout situation and all that. But overall, I think our coaching did a very good job in terms of game planning, especially at halftime, because I was really curious to see how we came out of halftime, because as soon as the aggression kind of backed off for our defense, they stopped feeding off the crowd. I was like, okay, now this is where the coaching is going to matter. And this is where the adjustments. And that's why I texted Brian too. And I posted this, but I was watching a little bit more of the football live, because I was curious to see how that was going to transpire. And, offensively, I think everything that we needed recipe wise was there, because we saw it being set up the whole time. Ja'Cory was going to get that pass on the outside, either that or he was going to get that end around, or both. But we never got the opportunity to get that play, because by the time that opportunity came, we didn't have a quarterback. And then Latif, we're just trying to figure out we got to move the pocket and get Latif comfortable, because Latif in that moment, he needed some time to be able to move the pocket and be able to see what was going on, because USC was going to come out there and they were going to do some things to really trick him defensively. And they were going to throw some stuff at him that he hadn't seen. And our offense knew that, and that's why we were very conservative there. Still think a little too conservative. I don't know how y'all feel about that late in the game, but I think we're a little too conservative there late.
On that final drive?
Yes. Oh, well, even on that 4th down where we went for the field goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand why they burned the timeout. Well, I'm glad they actually did, honestly, because that play with Heinrich Harburg never works, and they were just going to basically.
And it looked like he was doing a hard count. They were trying to draw him off sides, and then they decided to kick the field goal, and it didn't work. But it looks so unorganized at the same time. It's like, well, if you're going to draw him off, get up to the damn line and try it for 10 seconds, not 3. You know,
I personally thought that was an opportunity. We maybe should have came up to the line, try to draw him off sides. But you got Heinrich Harburg in there. How tall is he? 6'5". Like, snap that ball. You can get that first down. You're running the ball, or just
Emmett Johnson
hand the damn ball off to the guy who's missing. You know, he didn't get stopped behind the line a lot. Give him that ball and put it in your best player's hand. You know, we saw what happened last week, and we did that. He got contacted behind the line of scrimmage and was able to somehow find 6 hidden yards and was a 3rd and 4 or 4th and 4 and fall forward for like 5 yards. He finds a way to get yards.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm willing to live with that if we go for that and don't get it. I am.
I'll add, I think they lost their edge a little bit offensively throughout the entirety of the game. I feel like they weren't aggressive. Like that play, for example, where it was 4th and 1 and they're indecisive what they're doing, and they go kick the field goal. To me, especially with the freshman quarterback, that was a moment for you to say, look, kid, we trust you. We're going to put the ball in your hands. Even if it's just taking the snap and handing it off, we trust you to get the job done. I think that could have been an opportunity for a really big motivational thing for TJ, big critical 4th down in the game. I think that was his first drive, if I'm not mistaken. I just think it was a good chance for you to show that you trusted him, and then for you to bail out like that, just to me, kind of sent the wrong message.
Yeah, I think a zone read there would have been perfect. Yeah.
Or even the RPO thing where they rolled him out and they gave him the option to pass to the flat or take off because he's getting 6 yards of carry doing that.
I feel like the risk you run with an RPO is pick 6, because that can go really bad. Because if he's just thinking RPO and his mind's set, because usually when you get a young quarterback like that, sometimes their mind is already set. Like, I'm faking this handoff and I'm throwing this no matter what. Like, they don't have the wherewithal to like, okay, he's jumping this route, I'm going to pull this ball, because they're just ready to rip it. And I think that might have been their fear, was mitigating risk there. So I think like the safest thing would have been a zone read. You know, you have a quarterback with some legs who, you know, you trust to obviously run the ball a little bit there. And then if not, make sure he hands that ball off to Emmett Johnson, because like I said before, we've seen he's found the ability to get hidden yards when they're not there and find a way to fight for them. Albeit that last drive, I get that. We're not holding that against Emmett, though.
No.
That's just a very Nebraska-esque moment there at the end of the game.
Just one little skinny knee from TJ Lateef takes us out of a shot.
I'll add too. This was one thing I think that kind of got lost in the shuffle of Dylan getting hurt. You're on your 3rd string right tackle, who's now moved to left tackle because your starting left tackle went out. So now you're on your 4th string right tackle, and you're technically, would Turner be your 2nd string tackle? I mean, I don't know, but maybe 3rd string. Your starting right guard's playing with a gigantic cast on his hand. You're playing with a backup quarterback who's a true freshman. Everyone in the stadium knows you're running the ball with Emmett Johnson or TJ Lateef, and they ran it down their throats. They really did.
Yep.
Even that final drive, they started at the 2, and if Emmett doesn't stumble, he gets us to what? That was probably at the 30, 35-yard line, and that was on, 3 or 4 plays?
We're finally getting some momentum. Now, there would have come an opportunity where TJ was going to have to throw the ball, but, like, at the same time, like, TJ can throw the ball.
Yes.
TJ can throw the ball. And so if you come out there, now the problem was, and I feel in that last drive, and here's where the timeouts come in handy, is when you have 3 timeouts, the defense isn't able to sit back and be like, okay, this is an obvious passing down, because they have timeouts. You know, we're able to then run the ball, and the defense and their defense coordinator knows that, like, hey, there's a potential they can run the ball here. But as soon as you rid yourself of 2 of those timeouts and you're down to 1 timeout, the percentage that you have to pass goes way up. And that's where that last drive, like, I would have had a lot more confidence in that last drive. Not a lot, like, a lot more than I did. It was still low, but a lot more than I did had we had 3 timeouts, because then I think the element of surprise is still there a bit. And that's where we kind of screwed ourselves with those timeouts. And so that's whenever people ask, like, what's the importance of those timeouts? We didn't run out of time, that type of stuff. That's the importance of those timeouts, because at that point, like, you can still run the ball and you have those in your back pocket, and defensive coordinator knows that, like, and they're having a hard time stopping the run all game to begin with. So then you can come out in first down, and they don't know what you're doing. But now with 1 timeout, they're coming back and they're trying to trick your true, freshman quarterback into they're like, now he needs to draw back to pass. So we're going to feast. And for them, I don't think they really need – they don't even need to bring pressure. All they have to do is just confuse him in the secondary and the second level and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing about it, is trick him with the coverage and stuff like that. Because he's, like I said, he's just not ready for that moment. So,
but man, after Houston Christian, everybody wanted him to be the starter.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
damn good quarterback. Christian. He's still a damn good quarterback. He's just not ready.
Heinrich Harburg would start there.
Yeah. I was almost surprised we didn't flip Heinrich Harburg over the quarterback, honestly. Just let him start running the ball.
Yeah, maybe you get 6'5", 230, a full head of steam. TJ is an electric runner, though. I even texted you. I was like,
he's fast. Right now. He is fast. He is fast. And that is one thing that they had to worry about. What was the third down numbers there?
It was actually not terrible for Nebraska. We were 5 of 12, not bad. USC was 6 of 14. Though.
So 5 of 12.
Didn't do anything.
So very similar.
45%.
Very similar in terms of percentage. And then turnover battle was 1-1, right?
Yep. And they got points off theirs and we didn't. And that was the difference in the game, like Ken said last week. Tip flipped.
Yep.
Proud of the team, but damn, Emmett is heartbroken 100%. Yep. Our pass defense is for real. That is one of the things that we can take away from this game, is that we finally, against a very athletic receiver core with one of the top receivers in the country, supposedly, our secondary really locked it down. And Jade Mayava was never comfortable in the pocket until they finally got, like, the Jade Mayava is clearly not a quarterback that can drop down and be comfortable in the pocket and be like, he has to have things set up for him. And that is one thing I learned, because if he has to create on his own, like in quarterback, like he so far this season, in my opinion, a product of very, very much of Lincoln Riley's system setting him up.
QB.
Setting him up.
If I told you, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I want to say, if I told either of you that Mayava was 9 of 23 for 135 yards and a touchdown, that their borderline first-team All-American wide receiver had 2 catches for 18 yards, you're probably thinking Nebraska walked out. That's why, like, I know people hate that we can't stop the run. The play-by-play guy or the color guy made a great, kind of comparison. Is the NFL's motto, where Butler came from, is can you kind of slow down the run game and stop the pass?
Yeah.
I honestly don't mind that process, because you should have beat 23rd ranked USC.
Yeah, without a doubt. Can you back out and come back in? I'm echoing.
Yep.
I'm echoing. Ken probably hears it. Hears it. This is StreamYard. This happens 30 minutes into every episode. Every single episode.
I know, it's so predictable. It should be findable, but apparently there's
every single episode, for some reason, StreamYard just starts to echo and Brian backs out and comes back in. It's around 34 minutes every single time. I don't understand this. Damn it.
It's a glitch in the matrix.
System is. We can't, and no matter what, we can't fix
was it doing it before he moved to Texas?
It's been doing it for a while. Yeah.
Okay, so it's something on either his end in StreamYard, or I don't know. It's weird. Sounds so weird. But...
StreamYard for you. This is our solution. Brian, get out.
Yeah.
Tough game.
I literally keep tabs of StreamYard open and logged in, so all I have to do is close one and open the other.
That's awesome. Tough game, guys. I didn't have a good feeling to the end. Losing Riley was big. That was the game. But I appreciate it, man. Appreciate you hopping in here. Good game for y'all. Fist bump. What's up, Pit Snipe? Appreciate you hopping in here. Tough break. Riley getting hurt. Hope he doesn't miss too much time. That's the other thing too. credit to him for being up on the sideline, but that did not look good.
No,
I thought he might have broke his ankle there, honestly, on that first watch,
Mm.
because he got rolled up on bad on that ankle.
I thought his knee was toast too at first. I thought, man, that's got to be a little sore too. With as bad as it got bent backwards,
It
his
twisted
knee
up
to the
bad.
side.
I wouldn't have been surprised because that thing twisted bad.
Mhm.
We'll have one more shot at a ranked team this year, I think.
Probably
I'll coach
Iowa.
ourselves tonight. We kill running the ball, then just stop doing that. Notre Dame ran for over 300 yards against them. Kyle, I don't agree with that. I think we tried to do what we had to do based on the circumstances, and the circumstances just weren't in our favor tonight. Raiola going down screwed everything we needed to do up, and then so our game plan in the second half, like we can't sit here and look at the play calling and be like, oh, we should have done this, we should have done this, because like I said, that was a 4-quarter game plan. We were setting things up throughout the first, second, early third quarter to be able to break out late third and the fourth quarter, just like USC did. We talked about this earlier with Jade Mayev running the ball. They set that up throughout the game. That was that counter tray or GT counter. I prefer to call it. They all call it a counter tray. I'm saying that, but GT counter is what it's typically called. But that was all set up throughout the game, and then of course, then they started running that little zone read off of that and blocking it, and then Mayev was able to run in for the touchdown. So had we done that, we might have had a little bit more accurate idea of what our play calling was supposed to be in the fourth quarter. So it's hard to look at the play calling for what it is right now and just say, hey, we should have done this, we should have done this, just because of what happened midway through the third quarter.
I will add, it was frustrating because that injury happened on 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, and they had ran it on first down with Emmett, and then they threw it twice. And also, Dylan's got to get rid of the ball there. I mean, injury aside,
I agree.
Regardless, it's an RPO. It's a boom, boom play. It is snap, read your main key, and then that's get rid of it if the guy's not there. And I don't know what he was doing.
And we've kind of talked about that before.
Tackled on his route there. Did we not all see him get tackled by the defensive back there, and they didn't call it?
I did.
Yeah,
it was the most bizarre thing.
I think I was overshadowed by everything else that happened on that play.
Yeah.
But haven't we talked about that before with the RPO and just him kind of holding the ball a little, like just trying to do a little too much instead of just getting it out, getting it outside.
Another day.
I got a weird question. It seemed like the short passing game was really effective on that first drive, and it seemed like Dana went away from it after that first drive. Was it because USC stopped playing so much of that zone? They really moved up on our receivers, so we were kind of stuck trying to run a little bit more to set up the deeper play action stuff. Is that what I was seeing, or am I crazy?
No, 100%. Early in that first drive was perfection. I mean, we were using motions. We were running clear out routes to set up guys, letting them get 6-7 yards, throwing it out to them. Everything was working effectively. And I think USC made a couple of adjustments, and I think we might have abandoned it a little too soon. I do. And I think part of that is, I think in that moment, maybe we are trying to do a little too much, but I did think we kind of did a good job of honing that back in there, early in the starting the third quarter. But there through after that first drive, we kind of went away from that, and that's where we stopped having success. And that's the problem with those structured drives. Like, we see those scripted drives that we come out and we have success, and then we kind of go a little bit away from that. And it's almost like we let the defense, and we talked about this before too, to let the defense dictate kind of what we're doing on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah. And that's kind of what we did a little bit in this game there in the second, after that first drive in the second quarter and stuff like that, was we started to let the defense kind of control what we did on offense a little bit, instead of just going back to what worked for us. And I thought we did a good job of that coming out early in the third quarter, where we were starting to set those things up again. And then we just didn't get to see the fruits of the labor pay off. But that is a very good point.
That first drive was 14 plays, 75 yards. It took just over 7 minutes of time of possession.
Couldn't have asked for a better start.
Away from it. Yeah. And towards the end of the second quarter, into the third, is when they kind of started going back into that. What was the result? 8 plays, 75 yards, 4.5 minutes off the clock. And then on that drive, 3rd and 7. Dillon stands in the pocket, stands tall, hits Dane Key across the middle for a 9-yard gain. That was the difference in that drive. And then the rest is history.
Shout out Dane Key. He is a man coverage nightmare. I mean, if it's 3rd down and you're in man coverage, or if you're on the goal line, you're in man coverage, like, good luck, because he can route.
Catch was insane.
He can route your defensive backs up, and that was one of the biggest things. Is when we got him in the portal coming into this, was Dane Key is a guy who can kill you with his route running. Like, he is the best receiver on this team. He may not have the best statistics on this team because we get in Isaiah a lot in those screens and stuff like that, and just let him operate. But when it comes to like being able to route a DB up, like Dane Key is that guy. Like that's why he is going to be a 3rd round NFL draft pick, because if you put him on a quick slant, like he's gonna beat you. And that's what we saw in that 3rd down play. You know, we saw him finally when he gets an opportunity to make a catch on the fade ball there, while he's getting completely guy right in his chest. Yeah, guy right in his chest. But man, Dane Key is an absolute stud. I don't think he gets enough respect, just because I think people look at Isaiah's big runs, and Isaiah's great. Don't get me wrong. But I think when it comes to just receiver play, and you want a guy, you line up a one-on-one, like Dane Key's the guy you want out there, 3rd down, and in the goal line. And we've seen
blocking phenomenal, actually, too. They highlighted it multiple times tonight. I think the one big run Emmett had was like 20, 25 yards or so down the left side. Beautiful block by Dane Key. And he repeatedly shows up. I believe it was actually him and Jacory that tag teamed the block on Emmett's touchdown run as well. Where they both got on that safety real quickly, tag teamed him, and then then he split off and went and got the safety. So, and he just really shows up on film in that aspect.
I think I talked about that not only on our show, but Ken, the show that we do as well, in Generation Red over there. I was like, yeah, Dane Key may not even end up being the number 1, but he's going to open the other guys up because of what he does and the attention that they're going to have to put on him. Sometimes I wish he would get some better opportunities with some of the passes that are thrown his way. Because if you give him more of an opportunity to go get the ball, I think we've seen what he can do.
I tell you what, I was pretty impressed with that back shoulder throw that Latif put on Isaiah. That was a good throw. Left sideline. That was a great throw. A picture perfect defensive play by the defensive back. I'm not sure if Isaiah could have fought a little harder for that or not, because that guy was absolutely in position, but there was no way that ball was getting picked. Latif put it where it needed to be put, and the defender had to make a play. Yeah,
that's kind of one of those. I feel like that's probably a high percentage throw that he makes in practice, and that's why they probably felt comfortable coming out and making that play. But TJ Latif, credit to him, like he looked like he had all the confidence in the world, and he has all the talent in the world, and he very much should have. But naturally, as a quarterback, like he's going to come out there and be very limited in what he's allowed to do. Like he's not allowed to come out there and check into anything,
make a bunch of checks. Yeah,
he's not allowed to do any of that. So the stuff that you see on his high school film where he's going to come out there and he's able to just kind of operate and do his thing, like he's very much. And this is the hard thing with the young quarterback coming out there, is like they're very much like not able to operate in the offense that they're normally used to operating in, because they're not able to go out there and take any risks. And so you really box him in, and you have to go out there and try to run high percentage plays. And I'm sure that's why, the high percentage, low risk plays. And that's why they had him running with his legs a lot. But the throws that he did make, I mean, you could see the zip and the touch that he puts on his passes, because when he first committed, when we were recruiting him, before he even committed, I did a full film review, like a 30-minute film review on his high school film. And the kid has an absolute laser beam of an arm. And we saw that out there, but it's just a matter of, he's kind of limited on what he's allowed to do out there. And he has to operate within that box. And that's the unfortunate part of it. And where Raiola comes out there, he's able to check, he's able to do things, that TJ is not able to do. And that's why the offense becomes so limited.
Yeah, I wonder if they would have gotten inside the 40-yard line on the other side of the 50 on that last drive, because he's got the arm. He's going to reach the end zone.
They were going to have to, at that point, on that last drive, that was when they were going to let him just start ripping it, because you had no choice. Yep. And that's where I feel like the lack of timeouts would have probably hurt us, because again, you get down on that side of the field, you're trying to maintain those 3 timeouts if you have them. So that way you still have that option to, the defense still has to game plan for a potential run, and that opens him up. And that's, again, why I didn't have a lot of confidence going to that last drive, just because you burn through those 2 timeouts, and then all of a sudden you're in obvious passing situations no matter what. So seemed like USC played dirty. I don't know about that. I just think the refs let them get away with it, and they played within the confines of what they were allowing.
Yeah, the refs didn't really control it, but
yeah,
that's what it is.
If they are going to allow it, USC is going to do it, just like I feel like we would. We contained the run just enough. Knew the backup QB couldn't beat them throwing it 100%. Yep. I think you're right on point there. Signing an extension, then losing the way we did tonight, some questionable coaching decisions. Does that put a lot of pressure on Roll? No.
Yeah, God forbid we lose our 5-star quarterback. That's the coach's fault.
And only lose by 5 points still. Again.
And you're on your 4th string right tackle and your 3rd string left tackle, and your right guard's playing with a fucking broken hand.
I think this actually takes some pressure off Rule. The fact that this game went a lot better than some people expected. And again, if you would have told us that Raiola went down in the 3rd quarter and we lost by 5, I think a lot of us would have been like, you're full of shit.
And you had a lead at one point with the backup quarterback.
With a backup quarterback in, yeah. It's one of those deals too where I've often been in the camp, especially the last few years, of, well, you know what? There's really not many moral victories in this deal. I don't believe in them, this, that, and the other. But you're right. You know, a 5-point loss to the number 5 offense in the country, and a defense that had trouble stopping the run.
Yeah.
Hey, I guess there is sort of a moral victory there. Yep. I think it was good that there was no distraction. There was no idea of Coach Rule. Was he doing at the end of the year hanging over this team? Yeah. So I think that really affected their play. And I think you're right. I think once Dylan went down, it was like, oh boy, I know we sat there in the living room and my wife looked at me and my son looked at me. And we were like, this is not good. Even though we had the lead, we're just like, oh, no, it's just scary, especially with as much as they were running the ball on us. So.
And the energy of the stadium was taken out. And then it seemed like at that point, that's when USC kind of took momentum, because I feel like the energy was sucked off the sideline too. I feel like everything that they were feeding off of was taken away. I pulled this up because I do think this is a good point. I do think that was a very weak call.
I do too.
I think that was a very weak call.
Like a quarter second.
I have to agree with this. I don't even really know exactly what he did, but
he must have said something pretty vulgar.
He looked over and I don't know if I saw his hand go. I really could not tell what he did. And but he had to have said something because the ref was right there and he didn't argue it. So it had to have been something he said. But from what I saw from the broadcast, I didn't see much.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't anything physical.
That's for damn sure.
Absolutely him talking some smack that was not cool to talk.
He must have
what it was.
Said something personal that hurt that ref's feelings because whatever that was. I'm glad they called it. He gave us an opportunity, but that was kind of
it wasn't great.
Coach Rule just let the cat out of the bag. Raul has a history of bad ankle. This is honestly a good point because ankle injuries are something that just completely nag over and over. However, I think no matter what, with the way that ankle was rolled up on, I think it's tough to come back from that. However, speaking for somebody who's a grade 2 ligament tear in his right ankle as of 2021 and re-aggravated about 4 times after it was fully healed. Yes, I do agree that ankles can be one of those things that you don't think a sprained ankle is a tear. It's just the level of tear. Grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. And so those are things that can continuously reoccur. However, I think at this point he should have been recovered from last season. But again, it is one of those things that can pop up. So it is worth mentioning.
Put this in a unique situation. 3 games left. TJ's played in 3. He's got 1 left. If Dylan, we saw it with Taylor Martinez. High ankle sprain ruined his career. He was basically missed his entire senior year.
Yeah.
It puts you in a weird predicament where do you burn TJ's red shirt?
Yeah. And that's where Kyle asked the question.
Started back in California.
Chances we have Royal or you for UFC. Or UCLA. Sorry. Still caught on the night. UCLA. Good question. None of us know the severity of the injury. So we'll see.
I'm not sure we're going to really know. I don't know how transparent they're going to be about how bad it is, other than if it's bad enough that he's out next week, we'll probably know that fairly early, I would think.
Yeah.
Or they'll make UCLA game plan for both guys and
not
say anything until Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
That'd be the smart thing.
I think right now it's 50-50. Latif, now I will tell you one thing. It's going to feel worse before it feels better. That's for damn sure. Latif never gets live gameplay, so when he gets in, not only him, but no one else played live game with him.
Why are we yelling in the comments?
What is that? I'm kind of confused on what that means.
He's basically saying Latif should have been allowed to play more this year. Is basically what he's saying.
No,
along with the starters. And it's like,
no,
good. Okay.
Yes, Kyle. They're trying to redshirt him. Yes, exactly. Stop. No, that's not how this works, dude. We're not supposed to prepare for our starting quarterback getting hurt. We're supposed to just not get our starting quarterback hurt. This is not how this works, dude.
Or I mean, I could see an argument being made that if you were able to put some teams away that you were clearly better than, but you still had to figure out how to win in the fourth quarter.
Another problem.
Maybe get some reps in the fourth quarter when the game's in hand, but still.
Another problem. What game? Yeah, what game are you bringing them in Big Ten slate? Wake, we've been in a dogfight every single week in the Big Ten. I bet if there was a health study, Husker fans have the worst life expectancy after having such.
Oh my God! You want to hear something hilarious?
Let's hear it.
My smartwatch was in my bathroom, but it's connected to my phone, and it was right after Dylan went down, and my wife was in the bathroom, and she texts me, and she says, "I got to pull it up here."
Oh God.
Oh my God! Is your heart rate really over 100 beats per minute right now?
I love that.
It just got hurt. We're gonna lose.
I love that.
That's funny.
That's amazing. Bad play calling, game management. That's all I've got. Oh, Scott coming in. Gotta love Scott, man.
I've got the game management. I'll see him.
Bad
on the
play
game
calling. I don't agree with.
Not really the play calling.
I don't agree with that.
Once Latif came in, what else were they going to do? And
game
I think
management,
you're right.
Yes.
They were setting some stuff up.
Game management, yes. Yeah, Scott. It's okay though. I know Scott will admit that he doesn't know the football side of things. So, but I will agree with him on the timeout part of it. I thought the personal foul, one of USC defenders. Yeah. Oh, I already went to that one. Yeah. Defense didn't play good in the second half. No, the defense fought their asses off, Michael.
They played very well.
No idea what you're talking about.
The run game, they struggled, but I thought they played
no idea what you're talking about. A run game, but we know that's one of those things that like we just don't have the talent in the middle. So like we're not going to all of a sudden just be talented and start stopping the run at the middle. I don't know what people expect.
Pass offense in the country just went 9 for 23 for 135 yards. The number one pass offense in the country, one of the most explosive overall offenses in the entire country, averaged 5.9 yards per pass, and Jaden Maeva averages over 10 yards per pass.
At this point in the season, you are what you are with your interior line of run defense. It's just not going to get better. And people just have to accept that. Coming out every game and being like, oh, we're not good defensively. We still can't stop the run. Yes. Have you not noticed that no matter what, if you don't have the talent there, you're not going to stop the run? Shut up. Stop. I can't stand that stuff, man. It's getting on my nerves. Completely getting on my nerves. Turns out USC can run 200 yards on the ground. Well, we knew that. We knew they could run the ball. We talked about that. We talked about that all week.
Third string running back, and they're running as well as they were with the first two. So we knew that.
We talked about that all week. Missed field goal killed us as well, 100%. I just don't think we should have kicked the field goal there. I still think we should have went for it.
I think it should have went too. At that spot in the field. Yeah.
Are red shirts even going to matter? Isn't the 5-for-5 plan likely to get implemented this offseason? Nope.
NCAA just pushed it back a full year.
Start Gramstead next week. Hell no, bro. No, you're asking for it at that point.
Oh, man.
No. Do we do a blackout game every year now? Seems a pretty good atmosphere. I think that was the Brian. Did Rule say that was a thing?
I think that's
he's trying to do it forward.
Yeah.
For one of the conference night games is kind of what he was talking about. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Like seriously, it was one of the most beautiful things I've seen on TV.
That was cool.
That is one thing. Shout out to the fans, man. That looked amazing on TV. For everybody who was out there, shout out to you for wearing black and getting behind everything, dude.
Yeah. Even my wife and kids who could give a shit less about football, like they did that overhead shot right before the game, and it was just black field paint. Mm-hmm. Crowd was black, and they're like, "What is going on there? That looks fun."
Yeah,
like I bet it was.
And talking about the recruiting aspect, if I can be honest, I still think this helped us in the recruiting aspect because the recruits, they saw what happened out there. Brella went down, blah, blah, blah. But they saw what happened leading up to that point. And they saw this a very good team, and they saw the electric atmosphere, and they saw everything Lincoln has to offer on a big, big game weekend. So I do think this really, really, regardless of the result, I think this really boosted our recruiting.
You'd be surprised at how little recruits care about a result.
Yes.
On a visit.
Yeah.
They don't care.
It's different if we go out there and we lose 63-0 or something like that.
Or like Georgia Southern.
Yes. Yeah. But that's a game.
Ow, you didn't have to bring that up.
That's okay. That was a great game in hindsight because we're
here.
The guts got frostfired. So we'll take
True.
that. But I still think at the end of the day, it helped recruiting. I do think we have a lot of good to take away from this. I talked about how we had a lot to build from the last game. I finally saw something offensively from the last game that we had to build off into this game, and we saw more of that. And I think so. I think we're finally building something in terms of what we can bring forward. It's just a matter of if we're going to have a quarterback next week. So that is what we're going to have to see what transpires over this week, because that potentially throws a wrench in plans. As soon as we get everything building to momentum towards the last few games of the season, where I feel like we're in a really good position, Rallo goes down. But again, I still think a lot of positives came away from this week. Emotion aside, this game stings. It hurts like hell, but still a lot of good to bring out of next week. Anything else before we go ahead and wrap up, guys?
I'm good.
Anything else, Brian?
TJ Lateef going to be Pat White 2.0 next week.
Shout out TJ, man. You did what you did what you could, man. It is what it is. You did what you could, and all the people calling for Iola's heads, I think they understand now why we're like, you're an idiot.
Do you remember Pat White from West Virginia when he was
Pat White?
Steve
Slayton? Are you kidding me? How could we forget?
Dude, that's his skill set. It's gonna be fun.
Could we forget? So Ken, I appreciate you hopping on here, man. Where can the people find you?
Not a problem, man. It was my pleasure to do so. You can follow the show that you come and hang out with us on at GenRedPod on Facebook, X, and Twitter. You can also check out our website at genredpod.com or email us at genredpod@gmail.com. And of course, the audio for any of our episodes are at Generation Red on your favorite podcast app. So thanks a lot, man. This was a lot of fun.
Of course. And you can catch me there every Tuesday, 1 hour after our show, which, Brian, it's 6 p.m. Central, but now it's going to be at 5 p.m. my time. 5 p.m. my time, because time's changing next week. So I'm not going to miss the show this week, guys. Last year I missed the show because of the time change. Arizona does not do daylight saving. Everybody around us moves.
That's tomorrow, right?
Yes.
That's
my wife's upstairs changing the clocks as we speak, so she doesn't forget tomorrow. So
at 2 a.m. it'll stay 2 a.m. basically. You get an extra fall back.
Y'all are all. I'm saying the same. Y'all are all changing. So
it just means what it really means is when I get off work every day at 3 o'clock, I am only going to have time to play 9 holes now instead of 18 because the sun will be down, and that sucks.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. All right, Brian, anything else before we wrap up? You want to tell the people where they find you at KCHusker24 on X? Is that correct?
Yeah, until we can figure out a new handle, because I don't live in Kansas City.
That's right. Yeah, we got to get him a Texas handle.
I was thinking about like Hippo Husker, because the city I live in is very famous for hippos. There's hippos everywhere, so
it's catchy. Got a ring to
weird.
It. So, all right, guys. Well, y'all tune in Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central. We will see y'all here to break down everything, and hopefully Raiola update will be had by then, so we can talk about what we think might come from his offense. If not, we'll break down both quarterbacks and see what we might get from both of the guys. So again, thanks everybody for tuning in. Ken, thank you again for being on. And with that being said, we will see y'all in the next video. Peace.